Kayla Calkin, the Colorado State Director. When we fight,
we win!
When we fight,
we win!
When we fight,
we win!
All right, first up, we have Representative Jason Crow here from Aurora.
Thank you, Kayla. Colorado, how are we? It's a beautiful day to get out and walk and talk and mobilize for democracy. I'm ready to go, folks. I'm ready to go. Listen, yesterday, Donald Trump came to Aurora, came to my home, my district, our district, and he lied, and he demonized, and he attempted to divide us against each other. But we will not allow him to come to our community, our home, and attack our friends, attack our neighbors, tell lies about who we are as Coloradans. We will not allow him to do it. You know, I learned in the Army when I fought and served with people from all different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different races, different religions, different nationalities, who we really are. That our strength comes from our diversity. That we are stronger when we are together, when we work together, and we find that common ground. That is who we are. I saw it. I saw the heart and soul of America when I served with these folks. And now, as a member of Congress, representing one of the most diverse districts in the nation, a community in a district where nearly 1 out of 5 of my constituents, 1 out of 5 of my neighbors, were born outside of the United States. I see the strength and the vibrancy that comes from that diversity. And I will not allow people to vilify it and to demonize it and to tell lies about it. We won't do it. So you're going to hear today from a bunch of leaders, and then I'll close it out, but you're going to hear from some great folks who are unifiers, who are mobilizers, who are amazing leaders for our community, for our state. Before I do that, I want to recognize a few other folks who are in the audience today. We have State Representative Chad Clifford. Chad, where are you at? To my left. Chad, thanks for joining us. We have CU Regent Alana Spiegel. Alana, where are you at? Yeah, I see we have Arapahoe County Commissioner Bill Holen. Bill, how are you? I apologize if I've missed anybody. If I do, I'll get you on the back end. But with that, I couldn't be more proud to introduce you to my great friend, wonderful leader, somebody who's done so much for the metro area and now for the state, the wonderful, incredible, incomparable Senator John Hickenlooper.
You know, I was pretty sure he was talking about Michael Bennett there. Jason Crow, who do we know who commands the respect that Jason Crow does? Nobody, right? Well, Kamala Harris, but aside from those two, give Jason Crow another big hand. Now, Donald Trump came to town and he started and finished again with the big lie, right? He's got all the different lies. He's got the lie that he's going to help working people do better, right? He doesn't have any plans. He's just going to cut taxes for the rich, but he promises they're going to do better. He promises he's going to help, find ways where we can get rid of the whole government agencies like the Department of Education, right? It's not going to happen, right? It's not going to help anybody. It's not going to create any jobs. But the biggest lie is he says that the election was stolen in 2020, which is nonsense. It was the freest, fairest, most accurate election in the history of America, and yet he continues to tell people this staggering lie. And he's now got a large chunk, 20, 30% of America believing, oh, are our elections fair? Can we trust them? That is harming our country. That's treasonous. You know who likes having that kind of thought out there is our friends in China and Russia, our rivals. They love to have that notion that young people in America are wondering whether democracy is still the right form of government. That's baloney, right? And I'm glad he's left the state. That lie, what he's trying to do, I mean, things that we have, the democracy, free elections, peaceful transfer of power, the rule of law, These are things the rest of the world envies, and he's trying to steal our country. Kamala Harris is trying to save this country. She has a vision, she has a plan, she will work for every single person here and every person in America, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. She wants to chart a new way forward that makes it free to love who you want to love, work where you want to work, free to make decisions about your own body, and where everybody has the chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. As president, let me tell you, she will be here for Aurora if we get her elected. Let me finish and just say that, the other thing that drives me nuts about Donald Trump, one of his famous lines is he wants to help seal the border, keep evil people out. Well, he had a chance about 6 months ago. In the Senate, we had 70 votes lined up. James Langford, a conservative Republican, helped create a bill that was going to put thousands of more security officers on the border, asylum agents in process so people didn't have to wait around. They were going to have facilities so those hearings could take place in a timely manner. People could go back to their home country if they weren't going to get asylum. And how did that not become a law? It's because they went, the Republicans, James Langford, who I respect, very conservative, but that was a tough bill but a fair bill. But he went back and Donald Trump decided, no, I don't want to cut back on fentanyl, intercepting fentanyl smuggling into this country. I don't want to cut back on human smuggling into this country. I want to make this a campaign issue. So he made them kill that bill. He stole safety from thousands and thousands, millions of Americans. Kamala Harris is going to make sure that her presidency is for everybody. She is someone that we will look back on as one of the great political leaders of our lifetime. But she's only going to win this election if we get knocking on doors, if we're out there pushing doorbells, we're out calling our friends in Colorado, in other swing states, making sure that we do everything we can in these last 24 days. Are you going to do that? Because we do not want to wake up on November 6th and say we blew it, right? All right, now I get to introduce someone you already know, but really one of the great leaders here in this community, somebody who within this broad universe needs no introduction, County Commissioner Leslie Summey.
Good afternoon, Aurora! Listen, we need to be making so much noise that a certain person knows not to come back here. So I'm going to tell a quick story about why I don't like the man. And then I'm going to take you through to why we can do better. So people come up to me all the time. Well, why don't you like him? He's doing all these great things for us. I'm like, first of all, he is not. And secondly, let me tell you why. It was when in the 80s. In the 80s. I know, in the 80s. One of my favorite things to do was to watch TV. And what I saw on TV was this man with someone who was not his wife on his ski slopes with the paparazzi taking all kind of pictures. And they're smiling, having a good time and waving. My thought was, wait a minute. You mean you are bold enough and uncaring enough and suspect enough that you would be out on the slopes and your wife and your children would be able to watch that on TV. So what that showed me was that person is not a decent human being. If you're going to let your children watch that, you are not a decent human being. So in 2016, I already knew that is not a decent human being. So here we are now with someone, Senator Hickenlooper just said all the things that he's planning on doing. And why would we think that he's going to do it? He had 4 years. He had 4 years to make everyone's life great. And did he do it? No. I didn't think so either. So what I'm looking at as a woman, as a black woman, as a mother, as a spouse, as a county commissioner, what I am looking for is a new way forward, and I think we got one. We have a new way forward because in the 60s, I cannot believe that I had to teach my children the same things about race and class that my parents had to teach me in the 60s. We are not going back to that. We aren't talking about Project 25 and taking away all of the advances of the 20th century. We're not going back. So if you all are ready for the new way forward with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, let me hear you say, Kamala! 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 Yeah! That's what we're going to do! So vote with me! Get out there! Canvas! Leave no stone unturned! And we're going to be on a new road come election day! And now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the best rep I know because we work together at times, Representative Naquita Ricks.
Wow, she's on fire. Yes. Hello, Aurora. How you guys doing? I am so happy to be with you today on such a beautiful day. My name is Naquita Ricks, and I'm so proud to represent Aurora in the State House. I stand here today as the first African immigrant to be elected in the Colorado State House and the first Liberian American woman to be elected in any state legislature. Thank you guys for that. Believe me, when I say that I know firsthand the struggle and the triumphs of immigrants, I want to start by letting everyone know here that you are safe, right? And my papers are safe too. My papers are safe, and you are accepted. You are loved. Some things we all need to hear after yesterday. There was a lot of hate yes, thank you. There was a lot of hate spewed yesterday. Our community, as we know, that we have been proud of for so many years, is comprised of over 168 different languages and people in our groups. We love our diversity here, don't we? We don't need anybody coming to Aurora to tell us what is good for us and trying to set us back and put us back in a place where making America great again, what does that look like? We're not going back. We're not going back, and I hear that, okay? Now, who's ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Okay. I am too. Every single one of you have showed up here today because Kamala Harris gives you hope, and that hope is infectious. Just look around the community here today. This is all of Aurora. Okay, and we are excited to live in a community where we can feel accepted, where we can feel safe, and we know that we don't need Donald Trump to come and tell us what our community needs to look like. Donald Trump thinks it's fear and hate that will win elections. That's why he's fighting for his Project 25 agenda. That will hurt workers, raise taxes on the middle-class families, and take away fundamental freedoms. But we know that fear and hate have never been on the right side of history, has it? No. 50 years from now, when our children and our children's children will ask, where were you when we elected President Kamala Harris? What do you want to say? You want to say you were there? And we want to make this happen. And I want all of us to remember this day that all of us vow to fight with everything that we have. It's a day when we are coming together as a community to say we are not going back. So I want you guys to say it, Aurora. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. Going back. Going back. Now, it's going to be a tough fight, right? The fight's not over. There's still people we need to get voting. The ballots just dropped. We need to make sure that your family members, your co-workers, everybody, people since you haven't talked to from 3rd grade, reach out to them. Reach out to them. Make sure that they're voting and then have a plan to vote. Wherever you are, we know that anything worth fighting for doesn't just come easy, right? So especially the slow uphill battle to build a country that is abundant enough for all of us. But the fear and division is cheap, right? It's cheap narratives. And they won't win this election because we're going to what? Fight! Vice President Kamala Harris understands the power of diversity and the immigrant story. She embodies leadership for those of us who dream of a more inclusive America. Kamala Harris is the future of our country. Colorado workers, your voice matters. Today we can support leaders like Kamala Harris, who is going to continue to fight for justice, economic opportunities, and a better future for all. So let's get out there, y'all. Let's get out there and win this race. Now it's my great and extreme pleasure to introduce Senator Michael Bennet.
Somebody didn't tell me the order. How are you, Aurora? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I've had an amazing last week or so. I've had the chance to be on the western slope of Colorado to meet with people that are fighting hard to make sure that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are elected from Durango to Telluride. Met with the Ute Mountain Ute in southwest Colorado as well. Went to Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin to make sure that we hold on to the United States Senate as well as win the White House. And now here we are in Aurora doing the same thing. Brother Jeff, where did you go? I saw Brother Jeff today. I was thinking about something that at least amused me yesterday was that Donald Trump came all the way to Colorado, a state that he's going to lose in this election, I'm proud to say. He came all the way to Colorado to tell us that we are an occupied territory. That's what he said. And then at the end of his remarks, you might have heard it. This is the part I thought Brother Jeff would have been amused by. He said that he was going to liberate Colorado. When all Colorado wants to be is liberated of Donald Trump.
Right.
Now that takes a lot of nerve from somebody who was the only president in the history of the United States since Reconstruction to actually take away a fundamental civil right from the American people, and that is the right to choose in this country, which Donald Trump destroyed. And the way he did that was by putting 3 Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court that when I was in law school would never have even made it to a vote because they could not have survived the vet because their ideology is so crazy and so far outside the mainstream of American political thought, they couldn't get confirmed. And yet in Donald Trump's America, Donald Trump's Republican Party, it's a better way of saying it, all you see is extreme. And all you see are people that want to take away people's civil rights instead of restore people's civil rights. The history of this country has been a fight to make it more democratic, more fair, and more free. And Donald Trump has already taken us backwards. Can you imagine what he will do if he is elected again. There's a reason he's saying to you that if he is elected again, there'll never have to be another election in the United States of America. So that is what we are confronting, Aurora, together. And we have always been in a battle in this country between the worst impulses of humanity and the highest ideal. And that's the fight we're in again in 2024. And this race is tied. This race is tied in Ohio. This race is tied in Wisconsin. This race is tied in Pennsylvania. This race is tied in Yadira Caravello's district, in the 8th Congressional District here in Colorado. So get up there and knock on some doors, Colorado. But we have to take our destiny in our hands, and that's what we need to do over the next week. So thank you for being here. Thank you for not resting. You can sleep after Election Day. You don't need to sleep between now and then. And as John Hickenlooper said, when you're done working in Colorado, when you're done working to make sure that Yadira wins her race, then you can make some phone calls into Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio. Now, I have no idea who I'm supposed to turn this over. I get to turn it over to the great John Brackney, the former county commissioner from this era, and somebody who knows how important it is for Democrats and Republicans to work together. John Brackney.
You're clapping now, but did you know I was a Republican for 32 years? Yeah! It's okay. If you only hear two things from my brief presentation today, dude, where did county commissioners like this come up with a speak like that? When I got elected, I didn't have to do that. That was amazing. President Trump.
Black excellence.
Look in my eyes.
Uh-oh.
Mira, stop it. Basta, stop it. You cannot come to my community where I'm born. Colorado is a beautiful place. Senator Bennett was down in Durango Trail riding your A. Where's that? The San Juan Mountains. Think of Alameda, think of Santa Fe, think of, I think it's 16 counties have Spanish names. Spanish is not different than us. Spanish is us. Now, why is an English guy who came a couple hundred years talking about this? Well, because my next door neighbor growing up was Spanish. He may have been even illegal. I didn't like milk as a little kid until the other little kid next door asked me to try leche. I love leche to this day. So when you attack a community, I live in Centennial, but when you attack a community next to my community, you're attacking me. President Trump, stop it. Basta. Okay. Now, if you only remember one thing from this, it's not that. It's love. You will gain voters that you don't think are going to vote for Harris. Like me, I'm going to vote for Harris. But you will gain Republican and former Republicans because we have a love of the Constitution. We have a love of the rule of law. We have a love of humanity. We have a love of America. Yes, we're patriotic. I know you think it's a little weird. It is. But there's a kind of a core instinct of traditional Republicans that's patriotic and uniting and loving and caring. I know you don't believe it. I'm not trying to convince you. But if you're talking to a Republican, believe it. There's a lot of really decent Coloradoans out there that may even vote for that man again. We have 24 days to convince them. Don't hate them. Love them and show them the way to truly care about our fellow man, our fellow Coloradoans, is to treat each other with respect. That's what we have to do. We have to treat each other with respect. So, who cares about my words? I'd like to make sure you hear these words. We have a long, rich tradition in Colorado. If you do well as governor, you get a street named after yourself. You get a monument after several. You get the Judicial Center named after you. Hear these words, please. This is from Governor Ralph Carr, Republican, talking about the Japanese. These are as loyal to American institutions as you and I. Many of them have been born here. Think about that today with Mexicans and Central and South Americans, and Trump was right, all around the world. People want to come to America, and they want to come to Colorado. Isn't that great that we have a place that people want to come to? We should celebrate that sense of liberty and freedom and that desire to make a difference, the desire for your family to be safe. Speaking of safety, Debbie Hunter's here. I invited her, and her husband, Bill Holland. Bill, thank you. Former county commissioner, former Aurora City councilwoman. If you want to talk about courage, and it's not this false bravado and hating the other team, it is courage. She was brutally beaten on the Highline Canal. You've probably seen her story. And what do I think of when I think of Debbie Hunter? Not as a victim, not as someone weak. I think she's one of the strongest people you've ever met. She rose from really probably death to be a wonderful human being. And I think of love, Debbie. When I think of you, that's what he should have come to celebrate people like Debbie Hunter. If you want to talk courage, if you want to be that tough guy, former President Trump, if you want to talk tough guy, talk to former Vietnam veteran Bill Holland, county commissioner. He is one tough SOB. If you want to talk tough, go talk to Commissioner Holland, man. That guy is really tough. Thank you for your service. Oh, Governor Carr. Many of them have been born here, are American citizens with no connection or feeling of loyalty to the customs and philosophies of Italy, Germany, and Japan. I'm not talking on behalf of Japanese or Italians or Germans as such when I say this. I am talking to all American people, whether their status be white, brown, or black, and whether regardless of their birthplaces or their grandfathers, when I say that if a majority may deprive a minority of its freedom, contrary to the terms of the Constitution today, then you as a minority may be subjected to the same ill will of the majority tomorrow. That's why, not just one, John Brackney, tens of thousands of Republicans and former Republicans are now independent and proudly voting for Harris. I talk more, but it's hot. So, I got elected as a 29-year-old as a county commissioner, but you want to see a rising star in the Democratic Party? 28-year-old when he was appointed. Manny Ruthenell, come on up.
Hello, Aurora. How are we doing today? Let me hear from you. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Damn, I'm so excited to be here with all you today. Before I get started, I gotta give a shout out to two people that I love so dearly. State Board of Education, Rhonda Solis, and Representative Mike Wiseman down over there. Those are two people fighting for our democracy, fighting for our values every single day. I'm so proud to represent the great people of Commerce City at the State House, and I'm proud of the journey that got me there. I'm the son of a single mother. My mom brought us from the Dominican Republic when I was 6 years old. Thank you. She wanted to give us that American dream. The American dream that so many immigrant families here in Aurora are seeking. That so many have found. And you know what? Kamala Harris is trying to give us that American dream every single day. My mom taught us to be proud of our immigrant roots. And she raised us in communities full of immigrants, just like here in Aurora. Beautiful families, just like here in Aurora. This whole week and the last few weeks, Donald Trump has been obsessed with Aurora. It's the kind of obsessions he's had with Hannibal Lecter and the like. The guy likes a scary fake story. But he wouldn't even come to the heart of Aurora to be able to talk to the people of Aurora. So let's tell the story of Aurora. Aurora, you are over 400,000 people strong. Your people speak over 160 different languages. An entire world of cuisines, cultures, ethnicities, races lives and is welcome here in Aurora. And guess what? We love it that way. And we're not going back. We're not going back. And that's why, come November, Colorado will be voting for Kamala Harris. Let me hear you. She's laid out a clear, detailed plan to bring the middle class and working class family the resources that they need. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and his Project 2025 are planning to raise taxes on middle class families by up to $4,000 per year. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Thank you. When Trump left office for the first time, he left with one of the worst job records since the Great Depression. Why? Because he was too focused on making sure that his billionaire buddies had a few extra bucks. It's unacceptable. The only candidate working on behalf of working families is who? Kamala Harris. So I hope you're fired up to vote. Let me hear you. Are you fired up? Because when we fight, let me tell you a little thing about Aurora that I love. Because our communities are as American as apple pie. But we're also as American as rice and beans, and chana masala, and injera. I'm getting kind of hungry up here. Let me just make sure that y'all know what you need to do to make sure that Kamala Harris wins this election. Because we all know that democracy is a team sport. How many of y'all are going to sign up to go out and vote? To knock doors, to text your family and friends, to make phone calls, to talk to your neighbors. Y'all, I'm so fired up, but I know we need to get out to the door. So let me send it over back to the great congressman from this great district, Congressman Jason Crow.
Manny, love Manny. All right, we're almost there. A few more minutes, and we're going to go out into the community. We're going to get the work done. But I want to recognize my union brothers and sisters. Plumbers Local 3 is hosting us here today. You can see some of their incredible craft work up here. These folks literally build Colorado, literally build our community. Right? And we talk about the middle class, fair wages, retirement with dignity, clean and safe working conditions. It's organized labor, it's unions that have made that possible in America. It couldn't be in unions and organized labor, and the right to organize is on the ballot. I also want to recognize State Representative Mike Weissman, running for State Senate. Then we have Aurora Public School Board Director Ann Kiki as well. Ann, are you here? Ann in the back. We also have Aurora Public Schools Director Michael Carter running for State House. Rhonda Solis, State Board of Education. And I hope I got everybody. If I did not, I apologize. Listen, in a minute here, I'm going to turn you over to Brad Fleming with the Harris campaign to give us all our marching orders to get out there. But I want... Brad Fleming's got a little section back there. But I'm going to leave you with this. The reason why Donald Trump just consistently and continuously lies about pretty much everything at this point is because he doesn't want us talking about his policies. He doesn't want us talking about his policies because he knows that they are overwhelmingly rejected by Americans. Right? A federal abortion ban. No. Turning our back on the climate crisis. No. Common sense gun violence prevention. No. You're standing by our union brothers and sisters. These are the things that this is about. Right? And the way that we have our voices heard is by winning. We just win. And that's what we're going to do. Now, none of us woke up wanting to be in this situation. And let me explain what I mean by that. None of us wanted to be in a situation where the very core of our democracy is at risk and being challenged. None of us wanted to be in a situation where the fundamental right to choose will be determined by this election, where the trajectory of our country going one radical direction versus moving forward will be determined by this election. But the nature of leadership, the nature of activism, is you never get to choose your time. You look back on American history, the suffragettes didn't choose their time, but they stood up. The Freedom Riders didn't choose their time, but they stood up. The Greatest Generation didn't choose theirs, but they stood up too. We stand on all of their shoulders. Folks, we are at one of those historical moments. We stand on their shoulders, but this is our moment. We didn't choose it, but the choice we can make is how hard we're willing to work and whether or not we're willing to sacrifice to do our piece, so that our children and grandchildren will look back and tell that story too. That when it was our moment, in the last 24 days, to determine the democracy and the trajectory of this country, we did it. So let's do it. Let's get out there. Let's tell the story. Colorado, let's win.
How we doing? Let's hear it for all of our amazing speakers so far today. Are you all ready to send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House? Everybody, my name is Brad Fleming. I'm a field organizer with the Harris-Walz campaign, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to share a little bit about myself and my why I'm here, why I'm supporting this campaign. I come to this work from a background in environmental nonprofits. The climate is a hugely important issue to me. How it affects people, how it affects people I love. We also have amazing outdoor spaces here in Colorado that I think we all love and want to see protected, and Kamala is the candidate who I feel aligns with those passions in myself. I also believe very strongly in protecting a person's access to an abortion. And the need to protect our democracy from Donald Trump. And I share that with you because I really encourage you each to think about your why you're here, why you're supporting this ticket, because if we're doing this right, we're gonna get tired at some point over the next 24 days. And at those moments, it's gonna be important to remember your why, to dig deep into your schedules maybe, into your, dig deep financially if you're able to, and to remember your why, because at the end of the day, those moments are going to be what makes the difference in getting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz into the White House. There are a lot of things that could stand in the way of doing what we need to do in the next 24 days. We got brunches and Broncos games, and I promise you all of those things are still going to be there after this 24 days, but what is not going to be there is the opportunity to get Kamala Harris elected. So, as we know, it's a very tight race, and it's going to come down to who shows up. Somebody told me something once on a campaign that's always stuck with me, and I want to share it. They said that there's somebody in your life who you are the only person who can get to them. There's somebody in your life who you are the only person who can get that person to show up and vote. And I really encourage you each, it might be a family member or a friend or a neighbor, I encourage you each to think about who that person could be in your life. Have those hard conversations, because when everything's counted in November, that's going to make the difference between where we want to be, right? So I want to share a few opportunities we have to volunteer. We have phone banks almost every day. If you can't join us to phone bank in our Denver office, I encourage you to phone bank virtually with us. If you can't make it to phone bank virtually, I encourage you to knock doors with us on weekends, but there's a place for everybody in this campaign, and we need you all. So next we're going to go canvass. If you're joining us to canvass, we're meeting at that tent on the right as you walk out on the right. But before we go, I want to do one quick chant before we go knock these doors. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.